Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Happy Monday for those that are here live. Happy whatever day of the week it is for you. Thanks so much for joining us. An honor to be with you. Thanks so much for being here. I got to tell you, really got to tell you, it's such an honor. I really do not take it for granted that you're with us, that you're here. It means a lot to all of us. So thank you. We're talking about this concept of setting your emotions, setting your days. There's so much in this world. So much in this world. The energy that we have that is being wasted. There's only so much energy that we have. There's only so much energy that we're given to create new, to capitalize on opportunities, to create deep relationships. And we waste it on stupid things. And I am guilty of this like everybody else. Something happened recently that was just wrong. Just wrong. Wrong. I got to tell you, it was wrong. I watched it. One of the companies that I'm involved in, I watched one of the older executives take down a younger person. Like, it was wrong. I got to tell you. Just took her down. The way they did it was so political. Called one person the next person, backstabbing, the whole thing. It was just horrible. Horrible. And it bothers me so much. And I wasted so much energy on it. And it dawned on me as we're talking about this, and I'm still thinking about it. It's like a week later. And I'm like still thinking about it. And I'm saying to myself, you're wasting energy on something that happened. And if you would just bring more positive energy into this situation, you can do so much more. But whenever there's a situation of negativity, it's so much easier to counter the negativity with more negative energy. It's so much easier for me to think about negative thoughts about somebody rather than positive thoughts about somebody. And it dawned on me that that's a lot of where our energy goes. Wake up in the morning and we ask ourselves, like, where's our energy going? What's happening? And I think a lot of it goes to this area. You wake up in the morning and somebody gets in your way. Somebody says something that throws you off. Somebody does something that's wrong, or that you think is wrong, or that you perceive to be wrong. Especially if it's for somebody else, so you get to be a hero, or you get to fight for justice. And what happens is it's not just that you trip. It's not just that you come and the boss is mean to you. That's last week. It's that you see something, or in that seeing of it, there's a imprint that takes place on your mind. And what happens is your mind doesn't like things to be off balance. It's like a cognitive dissonance. If you have a certain level of values or justice, or you think this is right, and then this happens, it throws you. But if it happened already, there's not much you can do. And if it happened already, many times we don't do anything anyways because we're non-confrontationalists. So what we do is we create scenarios in our mind that rectify it, what we would have said, what we could have done. When we see that person, we think negatively against them. We bring an energy about something that we don't agree with, so that it lingers in our mind and it creates like a constant sense of negativity. Like it spews negativity. It's like something happens and then in our head is like a hose that has like a hole that just constantly bubbles up that spoiled water. And we're not even wasting our negativity on like a person that's in front of us. It's just in our imagination. because there's an injustice, an imbalance. We could be doing this for a decade. We could be doing this in the morning. We see somebody in our family, they do something, and then it starts. Maybe the whole day it's in our head. And then we end up having a conversation about it. We bring our negativity. We're half wrong. Or even if we're right, we make them feel terrible, which brings more negativity. And then if you get to the end of the week and you go, okay, that person did that thing. Was it worth the 9 hours of negative feelings, conversations, and thoughts? Did I get a return on my investment? Is that person actually going to change? Like, really, are they going to change? Like, whatever I just did, is it really going to change them? Or are they going to go right back to how they acted before? And I'll just get mad at that again. Like, is the tactic that I'm using, which is to bring negative energy, to be upset, to be passive aggressive, or to be aggressive against that person for doing that thing, has it been working for you for the past 10 years? Am I telling the kid to do this? Am I telling my wife, my husband to do this? Am I still mad at my in-law, brother-in-laws? Am I still doing the same thing? And something happens, creates an imbalance. I harbor it. Sometimes I say it, sometimes I don't. At the end of the day, did it do anything? Like, did it do anything? Did they change? Did I get what I wanted? I invested so much energy. I could have done so much with that energy over my lifetime. I was having this conversation with an executive recently, and I was trying to explain to him, when you look at your people, you have to realize, if you have 100 people working for you and they're at 60% capacity, do you know how many hours a week you flush in the toilet? You have 100 people working for you. Do the math for my mathematicians. If you got 100 people working for you, right? And they're working typical, let's say 40-hour weeks, of course, 40 week years, and they're only operating at 60. Do you know how many hours? And you multiply that hours by a salary. Do you know how much money you're throwing away? It's not just to hire somebody. You get the best out of people. You got to learn how to make them great. Because if you hire them and spend the money on them, and then you don't take out the best in them, you're wasting money. It's hours of time that they're sitting somewhere, but their brains are not being great. Do you know how many hours of that we spend in our lives? I'm not any better. I'm just speaking it out. I just call it out. How many hours a day we waste from a scenario of negativity that we address with negativity? And you know why we do it for? Because we think we're going to change the situation. We're not just harboring. That was, like I said, last week. Last week was harboring. We think we're going to make a change, but we don't. So it takes a little bit of thinking about it, and we feel bad about it. And either we approach them or approach somebody around them, right? Either we go direct or back door. At the end of the day, it doesn't even go anywhere. How many times we think about like politicians? You know, people who are like mad at politicians, like they're mad at politicians, like mad at them. I'm related to somebody that if you said the word Donald Trump to this person, he would lose it. Just say the name Donald Trump, an adult, like a real adult. He like foams at the mouth. I'm like, you're an adult. Like, I understand you don't like him, but like, get a grip. Get a grip. He doesn't know your name. You're not even in politics. You're not even running against him. You have no connection to him. You yell at the TV. Like, you know how many people are like that in the country today? You say like Joe Biden or Donald Trump or Nancy, just say names. They're not politicians. They're not in politics. They're like regular dudes. And like, you could like, there's like an emotional drain that comes out. Is it, they have no connection to anything in government. It's one thing if like you're in the game. Okay, you don't like him, you do like him, you're running for Congress, just say there. Saying like, fine. I'm not. This is apolitical, baby. I don't care. You do what you do. You live and let live. You believe for or against, and you're going to take responsibility. You're going to go get signatures. You're going to go run. God bless you. God runs the world, whatever it is, it is. But if you get no connection to politics, zero. It means you go to work in the morning, you come home, all you basically do is vote, and you foam at the mouth or you foam in your brain about somebody else. You're wasting your energy. You're wasting your energy through an imbalance that you may think is totally legitimate, but it's an imbalance that doesn't lead to any return on your investment. What we don't think about enough is the return or the investment of our energy. Because if I give you $10 and you don't give it back to me, I'm going to remember. But if I give you 10 hours and I get nothing for it, I won't even realize it. And 10 hours, if you're using it correctly, could be more valuable than $10. And once we understand the energy that we're given every day is for us to do great things. Forget the fact, when you get into the science, you start to realize that when the energy is negative enough, what happens is your body goes into this fight or flight stress response, which changes its dynamics. Adrenaline, cortisol, everything changes in your body in order to deal with real stress, with real threats. And so when you had a real threat, it was amazing because it happened once in a while. But if a person on a screen is a threat to you and you see him or her 10 times a day, your body goes into stress, which then breaks down your body, which then makes us sick. So much of the exhaustion that we have, so much of the incapacities that we have, so much of the negativity that we have is because we are giving energy to scenarios that exist in our minds only. And these are scenarios that sometimes come out. And when they come out in conversations, usually, sometimes it works, but usually it doesn't give me a return on my investment. It doesn't work. I was talking to a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guy the other day. A great guy. His whole upbringing was one like knock against the next. Like his parents seem to have thought that the way you raise a child is you constantly disparage them. And then they'll figure out what they're doing wrong. Negativity, 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 negativity. And God bless him, on his own, he picked himself up. We're talking about tradition, religion, whatever. And he can't even go back to things that are so good for him because it has to do with his parents. He said to me once, he said, if I do that, then it'll show them that they won. Meaning they were mad at me for not being more this and more that, more connected to this thing and that thing, this religious, that type of person. They had an image of what they wanted of me. And so they would just hit it in. Let's assume they weren't verbally abusing him. Let's just give these guys the benefit of the doubt, the mom and the dad. Let's assume, just for the sake of this humanity, let's assume that it was comments and disappointments. Let's assume it was just passive aggressiveness. One person said to me, she said, like they would if he wouldn't do something, like they would take away like little things. They weren't doing it to be mean. Let's assume that these parents, they weren't trying to hurt their child. They just navigated him negatively. I had teachers that did that. I had coaches that did that. I grew up where they navigated me negatively. Don't do. You're not. I'm sure many of you did as well. His parents did. And now this guy is at a place where he can't accept something that is good for him because in his conscious sub or real, he says, well, then they'll know that they won, meaning they'll think that their parenting was effective. The negativity doesn't work many times. It doesn't give you a return on the investment. All the negative comments, all those remarks only drove him further away from the very place you wanted him to go. And this is super hard, but this is what we do on the Daily Boost. We got to think about this. Maybe the reason why we're not more effective is because maybe the way to deal with the negativity in our lives and the lives of things around us is not with negativity. Maybe you can never go up against negativity. Maybe 2 minuses don't equal a plus in real life. Maybe the only way you deal with negativity is, again, obviously I'm not talking about like a terrorist. As a terrorist, shoot him. Like I'm saying, like I'm not saying like if somebody is coming to hurt somebody, you're like, well, can we have a conversation? Let's not talk about that. But most people in our lives are not terrorists. They're good people. A little insecure, maybe a little insensitive, but they're good people. Maybe the reason why we're not more effective is because we allow the negative energy to not only come at us and throw us, but we allow the negative energy to fester inside us and give birth to its own world of negativity. Maybe the way for us to maintain our energy is to never deal with a negative with a negative. It's to always ask, how do I make it positive? Maybe the only answer to negativity is positivity. And when we are strong enough, that's how we'll respond. My rabbi from Israel, Levi's like that. Sometimes we have a conversation where he tries to give me a little instruction and I push back pretty hard. Just between us. He never gets upset. As long as I push back pretty hard. He never loses it, ever. Never. Calm, collected, mission-driven. Doesn't get offended. He's above it. Maybe that's what we got to work on. Maybe the only way through the wall is to go above it. And we start to build ourselves into stronger, more resilient, emotional people. We don't get thrown by negativity. We don't allow it to fester the hour later. We automatically start to deal with negativity by asking ourselves, where can I be more positive? All right, we'll talk about it. All right, everybody, amazing day. With God's help, I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. Have a great day.